Well, welcome everyone. I'm glad you could join us for yoga today. So our goal when we were thinking this through is that to get the best benefits of yoga, it's best to be consistent. So ideally, you would be doing it once a week would be great. And so that's why we decided to make this recording, because hopefully when you're watching this, I'm in Charleston on spring break with my best friend. So that's what the goal was. So I'm glad you're here. And all of the classes, we're going to start in a seated meditation or a mindfulness exercise. And I've got different ones that I've written for you. So we're going to start today in a seated position. And there are some options that I will have talked about in the first class. So I'm lucky enough to have a bolster here, which is really nice because it gives me some support and cushion. But not everyone has a bolster, so you can sit on a couch cushion, just a reminder as an option. They're a little more sturdy than a bed pillow would be, or even a block. And so just take a moment to get your props together. So these are the blocks you can get on Amazon with a strap for about $10. So hopefully you have something to sit on. And here's the deal. So when we do meditation, the goal is that our knees want to be lower than our hips. And so even if you're pretty flexible, if I'm sitting here, you can notice my knees go up. And so that's really the goal. If I'm seated, then my knees are lower than the hips. So that's our goal. So take a moment, if you haven't already, to assemble whatever props might work for this. And you could do this part seated on a chair as well. And once you get seated, just take a moment to close your eyes, because sometimes just doing that initial step helps you turn inward. Our vision is our most vivid of all of the senses. So taking a moment to close your eyes. If that doesn't work for you, another option would just be to have a gentle gaze at the floor. And in yoga and meditation, we talk about it as an unfocused gaze. So that's an option as well. So take a moment to decide which of those is going to work for you. Eyes gently focused or closed. And then bring your attention to your spine. So having a straight spine, your spine, head, and neck all are in one nice line. And then take a moment to pull your shoulders down and back. Imagining a golden thread at the top of your head, and it's just pulling you up very gently. Bring your attention to your chin. And again, we want a neutral chin. So your chin is not touching your chest, but nor is it jutting out. So see what a neutral chin position would be for you. And our goal is to have this beautiful sage-like posture, an upright posture. But it's not written in stone. You could lie down for your meditation if that's better for you or your situation, or even sitting in a chair is fine as well. From here, take a moment to place your right hand on your heart. And just see if you can sense your heart rate today. So if you were rushing today, maybe your heart's already beating quickly, or maybe it's nice and slow, just noticing. And then your left hand is going to go on your belly, and we want to have a deep belly breath, diaphragmatic breathing. So it's right about at the level of your belly button. And the next time you take a great big inhale, see if you can feel that hand that's on your belly push out just a little bit. It's pretty subtle. And then the exhale, that hand goes back in. In meditation and yoga, it's best if you can breathe through your nose, but if you're stuffy or have any type of spring allergies, that might not be possible. But that's the ideal breath. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. So take a moment now just to notice any physical sensations that might be having with the body. We're not used to sitting like this, even if we're supported. So your body might be speaking to you, your knees or your back. Even the 18-year-old students I teach at Davidson College complain of that. So it's not just you. So just noticing, and if it's not really painful, it's just a distraction, you're just going to let it go. You'll just say, "Yep, there's my knee. I hear it. I'll let it go." If it is painful, then you'll move, right? You can always move. You can move your legs back out, stretch out, do whatever you need to do. Then take a moment to bring your attention to your mind, because that's usually even a bigger distraction than the physical body. So this is all of the things that are going on right now, things you have to do later today, things that are left undone, things that you should have done, should have said, all of those stories that we tell. And whatever's coming up, just like the physical body, you're just going to let it go, not engage, not continue the story, and just say, "I'll deal with that later." This is a 50-minute deep stretch mindfulness-based class, so it's not very long. I'll come back to that. So now we're going to start with the breath inquiry that I wrote for you. And hopefully it'll help you focus. If for any reason it's not helpful for you and it's creating more anxiety or anything else, you can just let my voice go in the background. That's always an option. And you can just focus on that breath. Deep breath in, deep breath out. So that's always an option. Most meditators, or at least beginning meditators, need a little more focus. So it's up to you. So here we start with our breath inquiry. So taking a moment to feel your breath. Can you feel your breath? Maybe not something you're used to doing. Where is the breath when you feel it? Is it in your upper torso or your belly? Do you feel it coming in and out through the nostrils? So just taking a moment. Where do you feel the breath? Now, taking a moment to decide, where does the breath originate? Can you notice the start of each new breath? Where does your breath originate? Can you hear your breath? Taking a few moments just to observe that. Can you hear your breath as you inhale, as you exhale? Without changing your breath, take a moment to notice what it feels like. Is it smooth or rough, jerky or rhythmic, slow or fast? Without changing your breath, just noticing what it feels like. Are your inhalations and exhalations the same length? So just taking a moment to notice. Are your inhalations and exhalations the same length? Now begin paying attention to your exhalation. Begin paying attention to your exhalation. Notice how your body naturally feels heavier when you exhale. Relax your muscles and let your awareness travel down the length of the whole exhalation. Do this several times and enjoy the sensation of breath effortlessly leaving the body. As you relax more, Notice how your exhalations naturally lengthen as well. If your mind has wandered from focusing on the exhalation, gently bring it back. No frustration, just gently bring it back, focusing on that exhalation. Now notice the slight pause at the end of the breath before the new one comes in. Notice the slight pause at the end of the breath before the new one comes in. Relax and enjoy the pause without changing it. Then notice how the next new breath rises naturally in wave-like from the belly. Notice how the next new breath rises naturally in wave-like from the belly. Now let go of the breath entirely and just breathe naturally without any effort whatsoever. So just breathing naturally without any effort whatsoever. And just be an observer of your breath, just for one moment longer. And now softly flutter your eyes open. You can remove your hands from your heart and your belly and just place them on your legs, palms out, and just take a moment to see if you feel a little bit more centered and relaxed. So that breath inquiry is a type of meditation that can really help you get focused and relieve some stress as well. But just notice if there wasn't any change, that's okay as well. But just taking a moment to pause and notice. And then from here, just in that short amount of time, it might feel like you've been sitting a really long time. So feel free to stretch out the legs. If you're sitting on the floor with me, wiggle out your toes, going back and forth, just getting some movement there. It doesn't take very long for our leg to fall asleep, our foot to fall asleep. Just letting that go. And then if you were seated on a bolster or a block, you're going to move that to the side. You might like to have your blocks and strap nearby though, as we start the movement part of the class. So having those that you can access. I've set up 2 mats here, so sometimes I can be facing you, and then sometimes I'll move to the side so you can see a side movement as well. So from here, we're just going to start some movement, some hip circles. You're going to do great big circles. You decide how far. I like to hold my knees in the back and feel my lower back release a little bit as I come around. So just choose one direction and just creating some movement. Again, we're still seated cross-legged. If that doesn't work for you, choose something else. And that is with all of the movements we do today. You can always do what suits you the best. You can go really low. You can pause if there's an area that feels good. You maybe stay there. You can go even lower. I'm not going super low, so you can still hear me, but you can even go all the way to your nose touching the floor. And then pause, and you're going to start these circles in the other direction. So again, you could go this low. You could pause if you feel like an area needs to stretch out a little bit more. Just coming back into movement. A couple more like this. Great big circles. One more, and you're still doing those nice, easy yoga breaths. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. And then pause at center. Going to move into seated cat-cow. And when we get on our knees later in the class, you can always come back to seated if the knees isn't working for you. So the breath movement is on an inhale, you're going to shine your heart forward. This is called cow pose. So imagine a big cow belly. Your belly goes down and you look up. And then on an exhale, grab your knees, arch like an angry Halloween cat, pull your navel to spine and feel it in your middle back. So on an inhale, drop your belly, look up. On an exhale, arch. 2 more like this. Inhale and exhale. 1 more. Inhale, drop your belly, look up. Maybe even feel a little stretch in your neck. And exhale, arch. And pause here. Feel your middle back releasing. And back to center. Moving into seated star. So this position here, which we'll be doing some other classes perhaps, is called Baddha Konasana or cobbler's pose. A lot of these poses, of course, are in Sanskrit. So I try to say the English and the Sanskrit name. So this is a pretty tight stretch for the inner thighs. We're going to move into seated star, which is a little more open. So the toes are going to go more towards the top of the mat. So you've got this diamond shape here, seated star pose. So from here, you're going to start walking forward. And again, maybe you just move this far and that's enough for you today. Depends on your flexibility. Some people will be able to come all the way down and kiss their toes. Just a warning, don't say that around kids. I teach kids yoga, and every time I say kiss your toes, we had a long discussion of the girls and the boys. They'll tell you that's pretty gross. So here you go. And just notice again, don't worry what the pose looks like. Just notice what it feels like. So everyone can look a little bit different. So you're going to be going much further. I'm pausing here again, so my voice isn't muffled, but maybe you're going even lower. Through any of these deep stretches, it's totally fine just to close your eyes and make the whole practice a form of meditation. And that's especially good if you're distracted by maybe your own image in the Zoom screen or something else or someone else. So taking some deep breaths here in Tadasana, seated star position. 2 more. Deep breath in through the nose. Deep breath out through the nose. 1 more, just like that. Deep yoga breath in. Deep breath out. Then walking yourself up, if you can, leaving your legs right where they are in that diamond spot. And you're just going to go to one side. Your hands are going to frame one of your knees. You're just going to feel the opposite side, the lower back, stretching a little bit. Now, you might not have to move very far at all to feel it in your lower back. So just take a moment and see how far you'd like to go. Get some deep breaths in here. And then moving back to center just as a transition. And remember, you can go that low if that's accessible to you. And then you're going to walk over to the other knee. And again, you might not have to move very far to feel it. We want to get in that lower back, a nice gentle stretch. Just notice and take a few deep breaths here. And then back to center last time. Maybe you go a little deeper as the lower back releases. And then walking yourself up. We're going to move into a great big V. It's called Uttanasana Konasana. So notice toes are up. We don't really point our toes a lot in yoga. It's almost always a flexed foot. So take a moment to feel grounded. So when your feet are flexed, you're grounding through the lower legs. And get as wide as you can. This is going to be for the inner thighs. Again, you've got your blocks nearby. And from this one, you're going to start walking forward. And again, maybe this is it for today. You just walk a little bit. You're on your hands, you're on your forearms, or you're on your block. You might even need two. It would look. So taking a few breaths, maybe your forearms can come all the way down on the mat. And just breathe into those inner thighs. So that's your adductors is what this stretch is all about, but you might feel it in your lower back as well. And if it eases up a little bit and you don't feel the sensation quite as much, that's when you walk further, but you don't force it. You don't go to your maximum all at once. Just take some moments here, notice if the inner thighs are releasing a little. Now, if you're really low at the floor, another nice use of the block, so you could be going something like this, right? Or if you're already flexible enough to be low on the mat, you can use the block on your third eye center. That's that area right in between your eyebrows. And you can put your forehead there. It's very soothing. Just see which of these many options work for you. You might be way up here and still feeling it. That's okay. Just take a moment. Everyone's going to be a little different. And we're going to take 3 more yoga breaths. Deep breaths in. Deep breaths out. Are your toes still flexed and up towards the sky? We usually go more like this, right? Floppy feet. So hold them up. Gives you a better stretch. 1 more deep breath. And let it go. And then from here, I'm going to walk your hands back up and just pause for a moment. That can be pretty intense if you have tight inner thighs. I'm going to pull your legs back together. This is called Paschimottanasana, version of a forward fold. So taking a moment to move around so you feel the bones, your sit bones right into your mat or the floor. This is another great opportunity for your strap. If you don't have a strap, remember an option could just be a tie even, and that works as well. So have it nearby just in case, so you don't know if you're going to need it or not. And again, our toes are flexed towards us, not pointed, right? So flex your toes towards you. Inhale up. On an exhale, you're going to shine your heart towards the top of your mat and just see, can you easily grab your feet? If so, then you're not going to need your strap. Otherwise, so again, you're going to test. Inhale up, exhale, hinge forward. Notice I'm not rounding, so we're not going like this. The goal isn't to make yourself into a little ball. So if you're here and your hands are more like at the shins, then you're going to take the strap around the ball of your feet. So look like this. Just want something to hold on to, either your toes or the strap. And you're going to shine your heart forward, trying to avoid, again, too much roundedness. There will be some. And just take some moments here to allow the hamstrings to release. It's another area of a lot of tightness. These deep stretches, you really can't do them too long. There's a branch of yoga called yin yoga, where they actually time the deep stretches, and every one is 3 to 5 minutes. We're only doing about 3 to 5 breaths, so it's a big difference. But if you have more time and you realize there's a particular stretch that you really need, and that would be the one that you are probably disliking the most, right? That's feeling the most sensation. That's the one you probably need to do more. And maybe you can at another time that. All right, let's start our 3 more deep breaths here. Breathing in. Breathing out. 2 more, just like that. Deep yoga breath in. Deep yoga breath out. Last one, everyone. Deepest breath of the class so far. Let go all of the tension of your day. And then gently walking yourself up. And again, it's nice to pause at the top anytime we're bending over like that. Might be a little dizziness. So the next one is we're going to have our leg out and the other foot right in the middle of your thigh. All right, and from this one, and again, there might be, your leg might look a little more like that. It might not be going flat down. Again, it doesn't matter what it looks like. This is called head to knee pose, the English name for it. So I've got this leg extended out, and I want to maybe move my hips a little bit that way too to make it a little bit easier. So I'm just going to turn a little bit more that way. So it's a similar type of stretch as Paschimottanasana. I'm going to reach our arms up, and you're just going to see as you shine your heart forward, can you easily grab your foot? If not, got your strap. That's why we have the straps. I'm going to take that around the ball of the foot. It would look more like this. Just take a moment to see which one works better for you. I work with a lot of athletes at Davidson College, and they're the tightest of all of my students. So if you're tight, you're in good company. The more athletic you are, it shortens the muscles. So again, reminding yourself, the goal is not to round and make a little ball. A lot of people think the goal is to look something like this. Instead, you're shining your heart. Think about shining your heart towards your toes. And again, if you're super flexible, maybe you're even bending the elbows. So we've got all different levels here. If you're super flexible and have been doing yoga or stretching a long time, then you might do something like that. Everybody else, you're holding the strap. So continue to breathe in that pose and notice if you are creating some other tension. So make sure that your jaw is completely relaxed, your forehead is relaxed. So don't grip your teeth. Sometimes you might get into a deep stretch like that, and you're trying so hard to go deep into the stretch that you create tension somewhere else in the body, and that's not good. That's not our goal. So just try to keep smooth, easy breathing, smooth, easy face, jaw, forehead. 2 more breaths here. And once again, release your strap or your hands, slowly come off, pause at the top. And then you're going to move to the other side. If you've got your strap, grab it. Sometimes you need it on one side and not the other. So this is almost like tree pose, if you're familiar with the balancing pose in yoga. And that's how our foot is, right? The inside of the thigh. Remember, we're turning our hips a little just to make it easier in the pose. Take a moment to adjust your hips so they're facing that foot. And we've got the toes flexed, not pointed, right? Pulling that back up, grounding through the shin. Inhale up, just notice, do you need the strap on the side as you shine your heart forward? Grab the ball of the foot or your strap. So having that strap would look like this. Wherever you are, if you're feeling the stretch, this one is the back behind your knee, your hamstring, and you're doing it correctly. So just take a moment to let go of how it looks. If you are really flexible, remember you can bend the elbows to go deeper. Start those deep breaths now. So the goal is to almost get lost in your breath, and any of those cues I was giving you at the beginning of class, You can go back to those. Those can be an anchor if you feel like your mind is wandering. And very gently walking yourself back up, pulse at the top, and then move your legs back to center. And you might want to shake that out a little bit. You can't see my feet. So I'd like to get into the shoulders a little bit. So we're going to do eagle arms and legs. We'll move to the side so you can see it a little bit. So I've got the left leg on the bottom and the right on the top, and my legs are stacked. Now again, there might be a lot more space here. That's totally fine. If this isn't working for you at all, for whatever reason, you can come back to easy sit, Sukhasana, or even extend the legs out. All right, so just see where you are today. Left leg on bottom, right on top. And take a moment to make sure you're sitting on your sit bone, so moving around. And again, depending on your flexibility, some people might pull those ankles right towards the hip. You see where you are. So in Sanskrit, Garudasana is eagle, and this also can be a balancing pose if we're standing. We're going to do it seated. All right, from here, the right leg is on the top, so it's always opposite. So right arm is on the bottom. You're going to wrap your arms once, twice, maybe your palms can touch. Depends on your flexibility. Straight spine, shoulders back and down. You're going to reach your arms up and look up. If that hurts your neck for whatever reason, then just look down. Remember, you never want to create more tension. So you're always checking in. You're knowing the difference between deep sensation in a stretch versus pain or something that just doesn't feel right. Deep breaths here. So you're really stretching the shoulders. One more like this. And then you're just going to do little pulses. So go ahead and bring your shoulders down and just going to pulse up. So 5, 4, looking up if you can, 3, 2, 1, hold, and then come out and release and do a few circles. This is Quincy, by the way. You can see his curly poodle head. One way, the other way. All right, so changing sides. Opposite leg on the bottom. And again, you remember, maybe you're not doing this part at all. This is too much. Moving around so you can feel your sit bones. Left leg's on top. That means left arm is on the bottom. Left arm's on the bottom. Cross over once. Maybe you just stay here. Maybe you're here. Maybe you're here. You decide. First thing you want to do, though, is make sure your shoulders are down and back. Come into your breath, and then if you can, those fingertips are going up towards the sky, shoulders back and down, and a soft gaze at your fingers. That hurts your neck or anything doesn't feel right, just look down. We're just going to hold for a few breaths here. Last one. Bring your elbows back down. We're going to do the pulses just like we did on the other side. So here you go. So it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Don't hold your breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more. Now. And then come out of the twist. Do a few circles one way and the other way. Good work. So I'm going to come to hands and knees now, and this might be a time where you want to roll up a mat. I'm on carpet, which isn't at all ideal for yoga. It makes you more wobbly, but it does help the knees if you have any tenderness. So if you have tenderness in the knees, maybe you're going to fold up your mat so there's a little padding. You can do that. Otherwise, we're going to come to hands and knees now. So I'm at the side so you can see a little bit better. And even if you've done this pose a million times, every time we have good alignment. So the shoulder is right over the wrist, the hip is right over the knee. On an inhale, we're doing that cow like you did seated. Drop your belly, look up. On an exhale, curl your toes under and arch, pull your belly in. So this should be very familiar from what we did already. Inhale, drop your belly, look up. Exhale, arch. You can move your feet back and forth as well, so the feet are flat for the first part, curled under for cat, or you can just leave them or do the opposite to see what feels good, if that helps you focus a little bit more. Couple more like this. Inhale, drop your belly, big heavy cow belly, look up. Exhale, arch, pull your belly button in super, super tight, angry Halloween cat. Inhale. And exhale. Coming to neutral and making sure hopefully you've got some space where you can extend. I'm barely there. There's the wall. Right, I've got my right leg out. Got long legs here, so you're touching the wall, that's all right. And then left arm out. I'm gonna pause here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release your arm, your hand back down, leave the leg out, and can you cross over? So I'm crossing over the left. I'm walking, 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 my toes as far as I can get. My hips are still squared to the front of the mat. And then I'm imagining there's something on the bottom of my right foot. And I'm gazing at my right heel. This is for the QL muscle. It's a stretch. So you're looking, there's something at the bottom of your heel. Breathe in, breathe out. One more breath. And then release that leg straight back. Again, hopefully you have more room. Breathe in, breathe out, and then we're going to release into child's pose before going to the other side. So knees as wide as the mat, big toes touching, and just release down. So ideally your forehead's going to be down on the mat. You won't be able to hear me if I do that, so I'm leaving mine up. And then coming back up. Do that opposite leg and arm on the other side. So come back to your good position here and just release your left leg. Toes pointed down, pinky toe down, square out the hips to the front of your mat. And the opposite arm is out long. Breathing in. Out. 2 more breaths. This is good for your abdominal muscles. Here's Quincy's paw. And release. Now that left leg's going to cross over as much as you can. So not here, but all the way over if you can. You're up on the tippy toes and you're looking back at the bottom of the heel, like something's on the bottom of your heel. You're checking. Feel the QL stretch. Breathe in. Breathe out. 1 more breath. Release back to the original position. Let's hold it a little longer this time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release and come back to the child's pose. So in child's pose, ideally, your knees are as wide as the mat. Your big toes are touching and stretching out your shoulders a little bit. So take a moment here. So from child's pose, we're going to move into puppy pose, also called melting heart pose. So if you've seen a puppy play, they keep their butts up, but they come down on their forearms like this. Or if you can straighten the arms, and again, your forehead's going to be on the mat and look like this. Can't really do it and talk at the same time. So take a moment to get into that position. So the butt is staying up. Your arms are out and you're going to really work towards pulling the armpits down towards the mat. If you're not feeling it, I've noticed sometimes students don't feel it and their fingertips are not high enough towards the short end of the mat. So if you're not feeling it, walk further and then armpits down, butt up. It can be pretty intense if you're doing it correctly. So just take a moment. Puppies do that when they're playing. They're on their forearms and their butts are wiggling. So 3 more breaths, just like that. Deep breaths in, deep breath out. And 2 more breaths, just like that. Breathing in, breathing out. And last one. And walk yourself back up from here. Walk yourself back up. And turn towards the front. I'm going to end with a gentle hip opener. It's seated pigeon. There are 2 ways, well, 3 ways at least to do pigeon. This is the most gentle one for today. Maybe next time we'll do a little more vigorous one. So feet are flat on the mat. I'm going to take the right leg over. Looks like this. My hands are behind me. And I can decide how deep the stretch is by walking this heel closer to my seat. All right. We haven't done anything for the hips yet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that just for a couple of breaths. Again, your spine is straight. We never slouch like this in yoga. Always straight. Remember that golden thread at the beginning of class is pulling you up. Couple breaths here. Hopefully you're feeling it in the outer hip. One more breath. And then release, shake that out. See which leg you had on top. Just going to do the other side. So opposite legs crossing over. So right now I'm not feeling it very much, but if I heel toe this foot and a little bit more, now I'm feeling it. Going to be in the bent side is where you want to feel it. Quincy got bored with us. He just went back to his kennel to take a nap. One more breath. And then release, shake it out. Good job. So going to end our class in Shavasana, which is the best part of a yoga class. So ideally you would be laying on your back, legs out, arms out, like this. If that doesn't work for you for whatever reason, if laying down is not comfortable to you, then you can come back to your seated meditation pose. You can sit on your block, do what works, but we will be spending the last just a couple minutes here in Shavasana. So taking a moment to get in your comfortable position. Maybe I never miss an opportunity to lie down, so that's what I would be doing. Another great option is if you are lucky enough to have a bolster or even a couch cushion, you can put it under your knees and lie back like this. Feels really good. So whatever position you've chosen, what could you do to make yourself 10% more comfortable? Would that mean grabbing a blanket or wiggling around a little bit? Whatever it might be, what could you do to make yourself 10% more comfortable? And from there, take a moment just to notice your body. And if there are still some areas that are tight, you didn't stretch out everything. So there might be some areas that are tight or another injury. Just take a moment to see if you can soften through that area. Bringing your attention to your jaw. That's an area a lot of times we clench our jaws and don't even realize it throughout the day. Just make sure your jaw is completely loose. Your teeth have space in between your top teeth and your bottom teeth. Your breath is smooth and relaxed. And then bring your attention to your temples. See if you can relax that area. Bring your attention to your forehead. And imagine your forehead is completely smooth and relaxed. And what about the third eye center, the area right in between your eyebrows? Can you bring your attention there just for a moment and relax that area? So I'm going to end the class with a quotation from Harriet Jacobs, African-American writer, 19th century. The beautiful spring came, and when nature resumes her loveliness, the human soul is apt to revive also. I'll read that one again. The beautiful spring came, and when nature resumes her loveliness, the human soul is apt to revive also. So hoping you can enjoy some of the signs of spring around you in this upcoming week. And wherever you are in your Shavasana now, you're just going to start to wake up from this peaceful place. So that usually means wiggling fingers and toes. Maybe you do a great big stretch overhead, one side or the other side. And when you're ready in your own time, you're going to move to the right side using your arms as a pillow. Take a deep breath there. Let it go. And using your left hand to help push you off very gently. Coming back to where you started, easy set. Take a moment to see how you feel. Bring your hands to prayer position. Take a moment of gratitude just for showing up, maybe trying something different or something that you've been doing a long time. Either way, it's good. It's good to stretch the body. I salute the divine light and all of you. Thanks for joining me. And namaste. All done.